I'm sorry to cut you off, but I don't have much time. So we spent $1 trillion. We gave it to the colleges. We said encourage poor kids to go to college. We don't know how many kids went to college because you don't have the authority to audit. How do you know these universities are not just using the money to operate instead of encouraging poor kids to go to college?
I'm not sure.
You don't know how?
No.
Because you can't audit.
Correct.
You understand hope is not a strategy.
Yes, sir.
The federal government has the right to veto the pick. So if they pick their brother-in-law, that wouldn't be fair. And Harvard has said, no, you just have to trust us. You have to accept our pinky promise.
Today we're diving into a fiery Senate exchange that's raising a lot of eyebrows. Senator John Kennedy just Secretary McMahon over an education program, and the questions he asked might leave you stunned. If you care about how your tax dollars are spent, you'll want to stick around for this. Let's break it down in 10 sharp, eye-opening points.
By the way, I want to ask you about the TRIO program that has been mentioned, and its sister program, Gear Up. We spend $1.858 billion a year on TRIO.
Yes.
That's $1,580 million a year. Is my math right?
I think that's right, sir.
And how long have we been spending $1,580 million a year on this program?
I'm not sure of the total length of time of the program.
More than 10 years?
Yes.
So that's over $1 trillion we've spent on this program. And in this program, this $1 trillion we've spent, we give this money, as I appreciate it, to colleges and universities to encourage poor kids to go to college. Is that right?
To provide some of those kids who have not yet been exposed to what it takes to get ready to go to college.
Okay. To encourage poor kids to go to college, right?
Yes.
Okay. And given that we've spent $1 trillion, how many poor kids who otherwise wouldn't have gone to college have gone to college and graduated?
A significant number, I would imagine.
How many?
I don't know exactly.
Isn't that a question we should ask?
I think so, and I'll be happy to get back to you with that answer. You know, the other thing about the...
But wait, Madam Secretary, I'm not fussing at you. Do we have that number?
I don't think so.
I'm looking, we don't have it.
I don't think so, because there is
Well, if we were... So we've spent $1 trillion, and we've given this money to universities, and they're supposed to encourage poor kids to go to college. But we don't know how many poor kids went to college who otherwise wouldn't have gone to college and graduated, right?
correct.
Well, what do your audits show?
Well, that's the issue. And I mentioned it when I was
Are you able to audit?
We're not. We're not able to audit, and there are constraints against the TRIO program for its accountability. The other issue with...
Well, but I'm sorry to cut you off, but I don't have much time. So we spent $1 trillion. We gave it to the colleges. We said encourage poor kids to go to college. We don't know how many kids went to college because you don't have the authority to audit. How do you know these universities are not just using the money to operate instead of encouraging poor kids to go to college?
I'm not sure.
You don't know how?
No.
Because you can't audit.
Correct.
You understand hope is not a strategy.
Yes, sir.
I mean, if you told the average American, we just spent $1 trillion of your money, and we gave it to colleges and universities, and we said encourage poor kids to go to college, but we don't know how many kids went to college who otherwise wouldn't have gone and who graduated. You understand the average American would ask us what planet we just parachuted in from, right?
That's right. You know, Senator, if I may, there's one other issue on the TRIO program. What we have found
I'm going to run
is,
out of time.
Oh,
You can make
you're
it
not-
fast.
take your time back then.
That's a red flag. Kennedy didn't let up. He made it crystal clear. If the average American heard that A was spent to encourage college enrollment, but they'd be outraged. And honestly, he's not wrong. Whether you lean left or right, wants government programs to be transparent and effective. Before wrapping up, the conversation shifted gears to Harvard University. The Trump administration accused Harvard of violating federal law and tried to withhold their funding. The proposed solution let Harvard pick a neutral monitor subject to government approval. But Harvard said, and responded with Kennedy mocked their stance, saying Harvard essentially gave the government that they'd behave. Not exactly the oversight you'd hope for in a multi-billion-dollar education system. So, what do we take away from this? $1 trillion has been funneled into programs and now even elite universities are pushing back on oversight. Whether you're a student, parent, or taxpayer, these questions affect all of us. Shouldn't we demand transparency and results when that much money is on the line? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Senator Kennedy was out of line, or is he asking the questions no one else will? And don't forget, if you want more honest takes on what's happening behind the scenes in Washington and beyond, and I'll catch you in the next one.